Hello, this is Rain. Welcome to Chaos Connections, the Not Safe for Work podcast, removing the filters from the Instagram of parenting and life. We are three moms, Harley, Rain, and Raven, parenting our darling demonic children through various steps and phases of their lives while trying to maintain relationships, careers, a sense of humor, and our sense of self. Join us through our triumphs, laugh at and commiserate with our struggles, marvel at our batshit crazy lives. Just be mindful of our motto: fuck around and find out.
Hello, Chaos Connections family. This is Harley. I'm so sorry that I was out last week. I missed you all very dearly, but I understand Raven and
Fine.
Rain took very good care of you. Shut the hell up. I have been waiting for like an hour for you guys to join the studio so we can record this episode. I'm so amped about being back. So
You're driving us crazy, yes.
Today we actually we asked you guys for feedback. We asked you guys for topic suggestions, and we actually had a guest, an audience member that shall remain anonymous, reach out and ask us for some tips and tricks when dealing with expecting your first child and the newborn, new parent phase. And so we thought, you know what? Let's do it. Now, we're Chaos Connections, so keep the following in mind. Raven dear.
Darlings, little monsters, y'all know that we are going to tell you what's real. We're going to tell you what worked for us. But none of us have been to medical school. I'm pretty sure they'd kick us out at the first F-bomb. But so
No, I don't think the F-bomb. I think it would be more along the lines of, I don't think that's ethical, honey, and no, you cannot take the bones home.
It might be when we were like, wait, we have to get our claws trimmed.
Oh, yeah. So clearly, none of us are doctors or nurses. We've raised kids. That doesn't mean that we got everything correct. It just means that we figured out shit for us. So whatever we tell this listener with the questions that they've got, understand that if y'all have like deeper questions, please, for fuck's sake, call your pediatrician. If you're ever in doubt, that should be your first line of defense. And then you can come hear the snarky shit that we had to say.
Also, keep in mind, what worked for our kids may not work for your kids. Everybody is different. Everybody has their own personality. Everybody has their own way of connecting. So,
y'all want to know why there is no parenting manual? It's because you would need one for each kid at each phase of their life, because holy shit.
Yeah.
We don't have...
It would be
Do you remember the movie Robots with Robin Williams?
I love that movie.
See, those kids came with manuals because they were
bought
from a box. Ours are not bought from a box. They just come out of us as a box.
They came out of our box.
They came out of our box.
Well, okay, not mine, but...
Yeah, so we're gonna... Y'all pray for me because I'm going to be trying to keep us on task today. So
on topic?
All right. So
what?
On topic?
I have no idea what you're saying.
I'm a little verklempt. I'll give you a topic. Talk amongst yourselves.
Oh no. You're not honey, you're not good at the voices.
Oh, I'm
no.
really not.
Yeah, leave it
really
to
not.
Professionals, okay? All right. Now,
so topic one.
Let's
congratulations.
So, first of all, yes, congratulations. Number one. Number two, to this listener who reached out, thank you. You guys, we asked for feedback and everybody just tells us the same thing. You guys are hilarious. Thank you. I'm glad that we make you laugh, but give us some feedback. What is something you would like us to talk about?
Yeah.
What's something you would like to hear us discuss? Maybe if it's a little too saucy, we have to talk about it on Patreon. That's cool. Whatever. But give us some good, y'all. We're here to please you, masters. Anyway.
Oh God. I can't believe you just said that.
Yeah, I know.
Oh.
So the first question is,
This is how Captain got his nickname.
which one, deity?
Mm-hmm.
Probably.
And I believe I had the same reaction of how why did you say that?
Yeah. All right. So, okay. So, first and foremost, this listener is expecting their first child. Second child may or may not be in the future cards, TBD, which is fair because, sweetheart, you got a big deal going on right now. So let's focus on that. I agree. But the first question was about bonding with the baby bump. And honestly, the sooner the better. I am all for it. I unfortunately did not have my dynamic in both my pregnancies did not allow for a lot of baby bump nurturing and baby bump bonding. So my partners kind of missed out on that, but
That's their fucking loss.
I still, would regularly rub the belly, and I would talk to the baby, and if the baby was kicking, and rest assured, there was once or twice that I was like, child, don't you tap dance on you motherfucker, you just tap dance on my bladder. We're going to have words when you come out. We're going to have words.
Oh yeah. Our friends too used my ovaries as punching bags.
Oh yeah.
Routinely.
Which too, I swear, had a shiv. Going for the organ, just
So
with my first one.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, so Gremlin, excuse me, Gremlin 1 and Gremlin 3 are my biological children. Both of them sat very high. Okay. Gremlin 3 was really, 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 really wanting to go for the record of being like the first chest burster child, but in human form. Y'all, this baby was a C-section. And so in a C-section, you have your arms straight out to either side, you're laying on your back, and there's a sheet.
You were strapped down Jesus style, and you were numb from the brain down.
You can't see anything basically below you can't even see your boobs, really.
It's like
they have
the sheet's like right here.
The sheet fully up. All right. But you're awake usually, barring any emergency circumstances. And so they performed the incision to get the baby out. They could see the baby. They could not get the baby out because she was wedged so far underneath my ribs. They literally had to put their forearm at the top of my stomach and push down and wiggle back and forth. So my body's doing like the woo, woo, woo number while they're trying to get Gremlin 3 out. Eventually, Gremlin 3 came out. And then I'm a talker. My kids are talkers. But Gremlin 3 came out with an attitude. And they were like, come on, baby. You gotta make a noise. No, baby, you gotta. Come on, baby, let's hear those lungs. I was like,
and now that would be like, oh, she's using her inside voice. She has that still?
It was quite comical. During my hospital stay, though, she quickly realized and was utilizing the full capacity of her lungs, because I decided to waddle my post C-section ass down to the nursery, because of course they have me at the furthest fucking room down the hall. So I waddled down there to go get my baby because I'm nursing, I'm breastfeeding, and I wanted to make sure that I got to her so that I could nurse her. And as I'm coming down the hall, I hear this high-pitched screaming. And I'm like, that's my child. Had never heard her cry before, but I knew that's my child.
Mm-hmm.
I get closer, I get to the nursery, and the nurse comes out, and sure enough, she opens the door. And I'm like, I think the screaming one is mine. And she was like, okay, let me go get her. And sure enough, it was mine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when I was I gained a lot of weight when I was pregnant with Apprentice 1. Like, I gained 60 pounds because apparently if you have a craving, that means you have to have it, right? That's what I thought. And we had this restaurant across the street from our apartment that had, oh my God, delicious boneless buffalo wings
Raven,
and triple plate cheese fries. Oh, sorry. Is that better? Okay. They had really cheesy fries, like melted cheese, not this cheese sauce bullshit. And they had blackberry cobbler. And they had a drive-thru at this restaurant. So I would send Dar over there to go get me blackberry cobbler and cheesy fries on the reg. And that is until Apprentice 1 decided that he really, really, really wanted Phillies and fries and nothing else. And that was awful. But Dar used to laugh at night because I'm laying down on my side trying to go to sleep. And this little fucker is just, you can see him just rolling across. Apparently, nighttime was circus time for Apprentice 1. But the really, really cool thing was when I was expecting Apprentice 2, Apprentice 1 was a toddler and still a little shit, but he would come up and he would put his mouth right up against my belly button and he would talk to the baby. And as soon as he would start talking, Apprentice 2 would start kicking. Like, they knew what that voice was and they were happy to hear it. And he would sing to the bump and he would love on it. And I'm like, this feels really weird. Please stop stroking my stomach.
Yeah. No, so baby bump love is, and it can extend beyond just the partners. It can extend to, the soon to be older siblings as well. There
Be
were plenty
forewarned.
of times.
The entire general public is going to think that your partner's bump is public space and that they can just run up and touch it. So just be prepared to smack hands away, because I don't know what the fuck is wrong with people when they see a pregnant belly. They just want to come up and rub it. Fucking complete strangers. And your partner may likely freeze and not appreciate the touch. So just, be on guard.
Have the conversation with each other on how to best handle that.
Yeah.
Like I said, and in my reply, like I said, hormones are crazy. And there are going to be a lot of them, especially if you are expecting if you're expecting a female. When I was pregnant with Witchkin 2, I was all over the place and I was super nauseous because I was getting an overload of estrogen. Bonding with the bump with that one, my situation is a little bit odd. But when I was in my third trimester, because at this time I was married, we won't get into my marriage. Whatever.
Been a while since you said that, huh?
I had a lot of words that were going to go there, and I'm like, no, because that may end up leading to explanation, and we're not doing that here. So by that point is when the acceptance of baby is going to be here really, really clicked, and my ex he didn't sit and like talk to my belly or rub on my belly, but it was like when he was going to leave for the day or when he was coming home for the day, kiss my belly, rub my belly a little bit, give me a hair, go about whatever the fuck he was doing. And that was pretty much the extent of it. But I talked to her constantly. I bitched. I just, talked about, for some reason, I wanted to write an essay on one of the Greek goddesses, and I spent an afternoon doing that, and then I read it to her.
Yeah, I would.
Strangely enough, it was Artemis.
Yeah, I would narrate my day.
Yeah. One thing that I never got to try personally, but I've heard can be extremely stress relieving for mommy to be, is when she's further along in her pregnancy and the bump is there, whether you realize it or not, even if the bump may be kind of small at the time, it's still throwing off her balance and her back is probably sore. And so what you can do is you can come up behind mommy to be and you can kind of put your hands on either side of the bump and just gently lift up. So almost like you are taking on the burden of holding your newborn child. Obviously, don't lift a lot because that's going to hurt. You're going to stretch her skin out and ew. But if you just gently push up just to firmly hold the baby ball, I have heard that can be quite nice, especially towards the end.
It is, and they also make belts for you to be able to do that, to kind of help carry the weight of the bump, especially if you're carrying like really far forward like I was, and it's trying to bring your entire body down in front. That belt is a fucking lifesaver.
Yeah, they make belts for it. But if think about it, if you as a partner can step in and do that, that'd be nice.
After.
Yeah.
So, I did not have a C-section, but I can say that even with a natural birth, having a binder afterwards to just kind of hold things in place,
help everything go where it's supposed to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish anyone had suggested that, because I would have bought one after my C-sections, but nobody suggested it at all. I had no fucking clue. And now it's normal to actually give it to C-section women in the hospital, to just give them a binder. And I'm like, you fuckers. Where were you when my damn belly needed it?
I actually got a binder after.
Did you?
I was out last week because I had surgery. I had gastric surgery, and so I've been recovering from that. And they gave me a tummy binder for that, which made me giggle. It made me think of Raven. All right, so moving on. Oh, there's a lot of questions about like putting your face up to the bump and putting your mouth against the bump and talking or kissing or blowing raspberries. If your partner isn't wanting to punch you in the head when you do that because it's her belly and she might not be in the mood and hormones are real, then jam on, my man or my dude.
You can also interact with the baby while it's in there, because you can like push it on it and it's hilarious.
Yeah.
Watching the baby move in the bump, it looks like an alien.
Seriously, it is so weird.
It actually freaked a friend of mine out.
Gremlin 1,
science.
I was the only one who ever felt Gremlin 1 move. He did not want to move for anybody else. The most you might get from him is towards the end, he would rotate and you would see this mass on my stomach go from one side to the other. And that was
Apprentice 1 all the time. Just, I swear to God, he joined the circus in utero.
Gremlin 3, nonstop tucking and rolling. And I remember towards the end of my pregnancy, I was sitting in my doctor's office, and it was a big square room, and there were chairs all around the perimeter. And this woman sitting across the room from me like nudged her husband and was like talking about me. She goes, she's in labor. And I was like, I'm sorry. And she was like, you're in labor, aren't you? And I was like, no, she's just rocking and rolling. And she was like, oh my goodness. Because there was that much movement. It looked like my stomach was contracting.
Yeah, it gets huge. It does. So basically anything that you like, pretend the baby's in your arms and you want to interact with it, you want to talk to it, you want to sing to it, whatever. As long as your partner's cool with having, because dude, our belly is kind of a vulnerable spot. It doesn't get touched a lot by other people. So it's a little bit weird having it invaded by an internal parasite and then other people wanting to touch it. So Take that with a grain of
I
salt.
love it. Internal parasite.
They
Rain,
fucking
you're so
are.
quiet.
I have more after the in utero thing.
Okay.
Okay.
So there is a question here that pertains to any good baby or child books that you can obtain when it comes to like bedtime routines. Honestly, anything, any simple little books that you get, simple Dr. Seuss books are good. If there's a book that
Silverstein.
if there's a book that you were particularly fond of when your parents read to you as a child, keep that tradition going. Keep reading to your child. You could honestly read the Lord of the Rings series every night, like a chapter every night, and the baby's just going to get soothed by your voice. It's not necessarily what you're saying, it's how you're saying it.
And studies show that children whose parents read to them a lot, those children do better in school. They have higher IQs. They go on to do bigger and better, like more cerebral type jobs. So yeah, definitely read to your kids. If you want to interact with them, like, do what Harley said, get books with pictures and fun things, but fucking read anything to them.
Yeah.
Okay, not anything. Don't read the books that Rain and I love to your children, but anything else.
Yeah,
that would probably be bad with the books that we tend to gravitate towards.
If they're books that would teach the child about its own conception, maybe hold off on those for a while.
Yeah.
But
yeah, any books.
What I would
actually have to step away because Vex's dick is demanding going outside, and I think Captain has taken a nap. So I will be back in just a moment. So carry on, and I'll come and interrupt. And
okay.
See you in a second, Rain.
Now, if you're wanting recommendations on books about like development and stuff, talk to your pediatrician. I really hope you guys have picked one out so far, because they're going to actually need to meet your child as soon as it's born. Talk to your pediatrician. There's plenty of great groups online to learn about child development. I would urge you to learn from my mistake and learn a lot about toddler development so that you can be a more patient toddler parent than I was.
I think honestly, if you're one of the parents who likes to prep by reading about what you're going to encounter, then I think prepping and reading about each developmental phase is important. And then, it goes a step further to ask about like a nighttime routine. Honestly, the nighttime routine is something that you're going to develop after your baby's here. Maybe your baby is going to need that time to decompress and listen to mommy and daddy read a story, or be rocked or held for, a couple of minutes with a particular toy or something. It really varies very greatly by child.
It varies by family and child.
I mean,
we had an ironclad bedtime routine for Apprentice 1 because he needed that routine and structure. And so by the time Apprentice 2 came along, that bedtime routine was already in place, and all we had to do was fold Apprentice 2 into it. And it was pretty easy. And we had, since he's little, he can't fucking read. So I made a chart that I put up on his bathroom door, and it had a little like clip art of what the activity was, and then next to it said what it was, so that as he grew and started learning, he could equate the picture with the words and start reading, right? But it would have like, bath time and brush teeth and story time and snuggles and sleep, whatever your routine looks like.
Yeah.
But that was seriously helpful.
Yeah. And if you're looking at books, we'll delve further into that in a little bit, because it does ask about toys. But you, there's a question here that asks about cuddle toys and teddies. I'm gonna tell you that from from my understanding, you I know it's nice to have an Instagram crib with like the super plush blanket and like the fur lined fleece blanket. No, okay.
No,
You honestly,
don't.
you want a very minimal crib, because any extra plushy toys or bedding, even a baby bumper, can be a choking hazard for an infant.
Or worse.
And
Or a
so,
suffocation hazard,
or suffocation
especially
hazard.
before the baby
Exactly.
can roll itself over.
And
No, when the baby can start rolling itself over, because that happened with Witchkin 2. I woke up.
Well,
That
so
crib bumper came off real quick.
Gremlin 3, they tell you to put your baby to sleep on their back. That, at least that was what,
as far as I know, that's still the guidance.
Right.
But check with your pediatrician.
Exactly. But although she could not fully roll, very, very early on, before she could fully control the roll, she would not go to sleep unless she was on her stomach. And so I, as a concerned parent, went to my pediatrician and I said, what can I do? And at first, the pediatrician recommended rolling up 2 swaddle blankets and kind of wedging them under her so that she was on her side. So that way, the risk of her going face down on the mattress was minimized. That worked and flew like a fucking lead balloon, i.e., it did not, because this child would just wiggle, 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 wiggle until she could get on her face, until she could get on her stomach, and then she would sleep soundly. And I'm telling you, she would sleep throughout the night as soon as I stopped waking her up for feedings, because I was breastfeeding. As soon as I stopped waking her up, because the pediatrician said, if she's not waking up in the middle of the night to breastfeed, then let her sleep. I was like, oh, what a novel concept.
Number one guidance: let sleeping babies sleep.
Yeah. Well,
don't fucking wake them up.
There's something we can talk about that a little bit, because that goes into getting a schedule set for your infant. But in any event, until your baby can roll and has some control of their head motions, it's really not recommended, from my understanding, to have a lot of plushies and such in the crib and bedding area, because it is a suffocation hazard.
You can have them in the room. You can have them with supervised tummy time, but not in the crib.
Yeah.
Or bassinet or whatever sleep apparatus you're using.
It does not need to be like Witchkin 2's
oh
bed
my God.
/ room.
No.
And her hoard of stuff
sleeps on a smog-sized mountain of plushies.
And to further
and I contribute
delve
to
into this, because it sounds like you're really wanting to make sure that you set your child up to have these key memories, these key moments. Oh, my mom and dad used to read this book to me at night, or this was my favorite toy when I was a baby. And while I want to commend you for making sure that you provide the opportunity to your child to have those things, your child may not latch on to all of those things. For example, Gremlin 1 never sucked his thumb. Never, ever, ever. He was a huge binky, a huge pacifier. Never once sucked his thumb. Gremlin 3 found her thumb while we were still in the hospital recovering from her birth. Okay?
Oh, no. Apprentice 2 found their thumb in utero.
Yeah. And I've of course went and I bought all the cutesy toys for each of my kids. Do you know what Gremlin 3 wound up latching onto as her favorite toy of all time? Puppy. It is a stuffed kind of beanbag / beanie baby puppy, about a foot tall, foot long. No idea where I got this fucking thing. All I know is that I had gotten it as a gift when Gremlin 1 was an infant. And don't know what it was about this toy, couldn't pick it out of a lineup if you asked me to, prior to Gremlin 3 deciding that was it. Okay? And Gremlin 1 Gremlin 1, he really liked cars. He really liked cars. He didn't have a favorite car. He didn't have one particular toy car that if it was lost, the world was over. Puppy, if it was lost, the world was over. So it just it varies from child to child. It really, really does. And
greatly.
Yeah.
Apprentice 1 loved Thomas the Tank Engine. So we had the whole, like, the wooden trains and the wooden tracks, and we would set them up and play all the time. And Apprentice 2, a piece of satin fabric. That was their lovey, and they took it fucking everywhere, and God forbid it get lost. So I still, to this day, I still have a stash of satin fabric just in case.
Yeah.
Witchkin 2, she has 2 blankies. And I have a funny story about these blankies. She was at daycare. She was just to turn 1, I think. No, wasn't 1 yet. She was like 9 months old. Little boy at daycare decided to take her blanket.
Oh, shit. Remember, y'all, this is the child that is savage as fuck.
And I should have known, because what they told me my daughter did, he took her blankets. So she shoved him, took her blankets back, and then laughed at him. Because he started crying.
Oh my God, that tracks.
Listen,
and she still has them when she doesn't feel good. If she has her blankie, especially her green blankie, she ain't faking it.
That's Apprentice 2. Their lovey is still in their bed. They don't carry it everywhere with them anymore, but they still have it and they still sleep with it.
Yeah. And this kind of helps feed into the next question. Is there's a request for recommendation / suggestions about good baby and child toys, along with any cuddly toys, tutties, or anything catered or geared towards a certain age. And what I would suggest is, number one, the market is flooded with a myriad of options. Don't feel obligated.
You are spoiled for choice.
Yeah, don't feel obligated to purchase every single one. What I personally made sure that I invested in was, number one, a Boppy pillow, because it helps with nursing.
That was a fucking lifesaver with nursing.
It is also helpful to try to kind of not sit the baby up, but lean them up so they're not fully on their back all the time, which is actually not good for them. It can cause problems with the shape of their head development.
Flat spot on their head.
But what I also invested in was, I got a nice little toy mat that had like a little arches that went over the top, and there were toys. Yeah, there were toys that would dangle down. It's a tummy time mat. You can put your baby on their back and they can kick and make the stuff rattle, which is really good because that is going to help encourage them to repeat those motor movements. It's going to help build motor skill eventually, by having that rattling sound. But a tummy time mat. And you want to talk about a great bonding time? Watching your baby lift their head to look at you and blow a spit bubble and then drop back down while you're laying on the ground next to them. Oh, he's so cute. Oh my God.
Unless your child is Apprentice 1 and hated tummy time with a vengeance because he wanted to be able to move and he could not physically do it yet. He wasn't even 4 months old and he would scream bloody murder during tummy time. And I'm like, sorry, bro, you got to do it.
Yeah. No.
Witchkin 2. She loved tummy time. But in my room at this time, the closet door was solid mirrors. She did not like that baby in the mirror, and she headbutted it like Sarah from Land Before Time.
Fair. That's fair. What's actually what I think is really good, because we get excited when there's a new baby. You want to buy everything that you can to give them the best start in life possible. But when you're dealing with, particularly with a newborn, you're kind of limited on options because, quite frankly, the baby's world is very, very small. They can't
don't
really
need much.
see. They hear, from my understanding, they hear better than they can see. They can kind of see like blurry shapes and crap. You gotta remember, this kid can't control their hands, their feet. They can't even control their own butthole when they need to poop. They just and if they get gassy and can't fart, you're gonna have to find the magic spot to pat them on their belly,
bicycle them,
to help them. Anyway, what I found to be a really beneficial toy is you can get socks, and I want to say you can also get mittens, but I know you can definitely get socks that have little rattles attached to them, so that anytime the baby kicks their feet, they're making a rattle sound. So it's giving.
Or if you know anybody crafty that would make those, because I have seen patterns for them.
Yeah. You just have to be careful with what you use in the product, and
be mindful of choking hazards.
Don't go crazy buying like super expensive rattles. Like maybe one keepsake rattle. Oh, that's nice. That's cute to have. But honestly,
no.
Gremlin 1 and Gremlin 2, they both had, that the plastic containers that you get with Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
And once one of those is emptied out, put some rice in there, screw it closed. They can't get it open, and it's a cheap rattle.
Yeah. And dude, don't buy a bottle warmer, don't buy a diaper warmer or wipes warmer. You don't need that shit.
No,
you really don't need a changing table.
The wipe warmer will dry out your wipes. The bottle warmer, you're not going to want to pre-warm a bottle, especially if you're not breastfeeding and you're doing formula. You don't want to pre-warm that shit, because if the baby's not hungry, then you just pre-warm the damn bottle and they're not going to fucking drink it. It's not going to go in the trash, and that shit's fucking expensive.
Yeah. You don't need a changing table. Do not fucking buy a diaper genie. Jesus, the only thing that those are magic about is using your money.
Our changing table is a convenience thing.
It is. It's a nice to have.
It's a convenience thing if it's it's not a necessity.
The diaper genie has this magical ability to turn your child's shitty diapers into a shitty diaper sausage link. It's disgusting.
Yeah, exactly. It does not do anything for the smell.
No,
at all. Why the fuck did I buy that thing? I hated it.
I didn't have one. I just had a regular trash can.
As far as
with a lid.
Next question has to do with good baby or child TV shows, channels, programs, cartoons, Disney. Again, it's going to depend on what pulls your child's interest.
For the first few months, they're not going to be able to see the TV. It's just going to be this like nebulous colors moving around.
For Gremlin,
the first movie I ever took, Witchkin 2. I've never been big on TV or movies or anything like that. Like, we would go to the movies all the time when she was little. First movie we ever took her to was this little movie called Doomsday.
I took I can't remember. I took Gremlin 1 to see some horror movie I can't even remember the name of. But Gremlin 1 really enjoyed the sound of Elmo. And so, honestly, we would play Sesame Street, and there was a segment called Elmo's World, and he would get all jiggly and kicky because he liked the sound of it. And
Apprentice 2 loved Elmo.
We would say, oh, you're dancing. But it really depends on your child. And quite honestly, really early on, that you guys remember that show, Yo Gabba Gabba?
Oh God, I hated that show.
Kids liked it because it was bright, simple shapes.
Yeah, as your kid gets older, find some shows that you guys can watch together. Like, we used to watch Gravity Falls and Adventure Time with the kids because the kids loved them, and we actually enjoyed them too. So you'll find shit like that as they grow.
So when Witchkin 2 was still under 2 years old, there was a channel, it was called Noggin. It was Nick Jr., but it was called Noggin. And they had a show called Jack's Big Music Show. And that show, she got up for that. Like, she knew when that show was supposed to be on, and she was like, Jack. She wanted Jack's Big Music Show. So we have breakfast, have Jack's Big Music Show on, and then she'd go to daycare. Or we'd go do whatever we're doing that day, depending upon what it is. But Jack first. And now she's obsessed with music, and I have no idea where she got any of this from.
There is a question about good bonding activities that you can do with baby, and not just newborn, infancy, but through. And I think we touched on one. If you have the baby down for belly time or tummy time, lay there next to them and
get
just
on the floor with them and talk to them.
At them. Maybe shake a toy and see if you can get the baby to reach for it. But it's a lot of these questions, they're so subjective because what one child appreciates and perceives as bonding time, another child may perceive as an annoyance.
Yeah. Like
talk to them like they're people. You don't have to baby talk them. Talk to them like they're people. Talk
to them in your normal voice. Pronounce words normal, however you would normally talk to your kid that way, because that's going to help develop their vocabulary. And you cannot be an audacious badass bitch if you've got a shitty vocabulary.
Yep.
What?
And this listener, I love this listener because they keep asking about doing like blowing raspberries on the tummy. You can do that. You can do that to the mom to be, again, if she tolerates it. God help you if she doesn't, because that might be the last raspberry you blow, buddy. But you can also do that to your baby, and and
I would caution you to stop once baby gets really, really good at controlling their legs.
Yeah,
because then you're gonna get a knee to the face.
This is possible. This is possible.
Or your hair is going to get pulled once they figure that out.
Oh, yeah, your hair is going to get pulled. Your earrings are going to get pulled. Your necklace is going to get pulled because it's shiny. It's something different. It's got a different texture. And babies learn from everything that they can feel, everything they can hear and see. They're constantly learning.
Which is why they always put stuff in their mouth.
Oh my God. They're like sharks. They have to take an experimental bite to learn something about it.
There is a question here, and I'm gonna. You might get tired of hearing us say this, but I'm gonna defer you to your pediatrician. And your pediatrician, you should research and select your pediatrician before the baby arrives to put them on notice of your baby's imminent arrival, because they will come see the baby in the hospital. But there's a question about belly raspberries. Basically, there's questions about what's good for brain and motor skill and sensory development. These are excellent questions, and I applaud you for wanting to know these answers.
Sure.
that's awesome. That's huge. But these are questions that a medical professional would be best versed in answering for you. And don't be discouraged if the medical professional tells you no or not right now, because there is so much going on internally for your baby, especially during that first 12 months, and all these brain function things
everything
are
is
happening.
so new.
Yeah. So it just take your time and enjoy it. Take your time and enjoy it. Get to know your baby at the same time your baby gets to know themselves.
It's scary.
Yeah, it can be scary because all of a sudden you are responsible for everything about this tiny little thing. And I remember you guys know I'm the oldest of a lot of fucking kids, and I used to babysit them all the time. I've helped raise half of these kids. I've done diapers and feedings and whatnot. And yet, when it was time to take Apprentice 1 home from the hospital, I literally looked around. I'm like, none of y'all are coming with me. You're just going to trust that we know what the fuck we're doing. I don't get a helper. What the hell?
Yeah.
It was a little traumatic, but we managed.
Did they laugh at you?
Oh yeah. And I was not, what's really ironic is I was not a teenager at this point. I was nearing 30.
All right. There's a question here. It's a really simple answer. You're asking about the type of belly button your child's going to have. Who fucking knows? Who knows?
Yeah,
Who knows? There's no way to know. There's no way to decide. Because if there is, to any parent who chose an Audi, fuck you.
Why? What do you have against Audis?
I've seen things.
So Apprentice 2's was this like curly Q. Once the umbilical fell off and the spot healed, it was this really cute little curly Q in their little chubby belly. And now it looks like a normal belly button, and I'm sad. Actually, I have pictures of it in their baby book, just of a close-up of their belly button because it was so fucking cute.
You wished it still looked like the heart of the ocean from Moana?
Yes.
All right.
It was the heart of Tafiti.
The heart of Tafiti. As far as looking into childcare for your new baby,
that one,
it depends on what your needs are and what your child's needs are and what you can afford.
It depends on your budget. Unfortunately, universal childcare is not a thing in America yet. I'm hopeful that will change because parents need some help. But you're going to need to research these places. You're going to need to read reviews. You're going to need to go there. Don't tell them that you're coming. Just show up and ask for a tour. Don't warn, because that way you're getting a real view of what it's actually like, what they actually do. But also, yeah, like Rain pointed out, it's also going to have to be what you can afford. If you are fortunate enough to have family that can help you out, fucking take them up on it. Pay them once in a while. Whatever the arrangement is.
Don't take them for granted.
No.
Even though this is your family, and I'm saying this, and I'm not trying to ruffle feathers or anything like that. Even though it is family, you have what you find acceptable for your child, and that is a boundary, and that it needs to be respected because they are taking care of your child for you, either as a favor, you're paying them, whatever. But whatever your boundaries are for your child, those need to be upheld. And family's
really good at stomping on those.
Though they can have the best of intentions, sometimes they kind of steamroll us. Oh, it's fine. You don't know what you're talking about. No, if this is what you and your partner have decided for your child, you do know what you're talking about, and they need to get over it.
Also, if just as a precaution, if you're gonna have somebody that's not a childcare professional watch your kids, which is totally fine. If they are older than if their kids are older, have them come to pediatrician appointments with you, because we learn more and the guidance changes all the time. So what worked for my parents? So when I was a baby, parents were told to put their children to sleep on their stomachs.
Same.
And then we learned that that is a recipe for SIDS. And so the guidance changed to put them to sleep on their backs. But there's, the guidance changes all the time and gets updated. So have your person come to the pediatrician appointments with you so that they can ask and make sure that they get the up-to-date information. Because also, I hate to say it, they're more likely to listen to the doctor than they are to you. So just cut out the arguing and just bring them.
I think that this also,
you don't have to bring them to every single one of them, but
yeah. And there's gonna be a lot, especially in that first year. There's a lot of pediatrician appointments.
There is.
That kind of feeds into the next question, because this is kind of a hot topic among parents, and that's when to start transitioning your baby onto baby foods. And I'm going to refer you to your pediatrician, because
absolutely,
I can tell you this. What was recommended when Gremlin 1 was born had changed by the time Gremlin 3 was born. And that's only 6 years.
Dude, that happened to me, and it was only 2.5 years.
Yeah.
It had changed.
So here's the thing, is this recommendation and everything else, it's
guidelines.
Science. It's guidelines, it's science, it's what data are they pulling from, where are they getting this for it to be guidance. And with science, it's always evolving. And
that's because science is a process. I love it. It's not a religion. It's not a thought. It's a way of finding new information.
Yeah, but
science is something that
it doesn't give me a definitive answer right away.
It can give you a definitive answer.
It can. But then we learn more and we get a new definitive answer.
Yeah, for that moment.
So it's not wrong. You're not wrong. You just aren't completely right yet.
Yeah. Anyway.
But like, as far as solids, use the guidance from your pediatrician. And you might also want to, see what your baby wants. Apprentice 2 was kind of interested in solids, but they were like hands down a breast milk drinker. That is all they wanted. Like, they wanted the occasional, at 8 months, they wanted the occasional taste of our food, but they didn't want anything to do with it, really. They just wanted breast milk.
Yeah.
And Apprentice 1, bro, he was like 3 months old trying to reach for our food. And I'm like, no, sir, I don't think so. You don't even have teeth yet.
Right.
He's always been moving and trying to go faster than he should.
Yeah, I think we're all guilty of that at some point. As far as the question regarding pacifiers, that is going to be up to your loving baby, because again, Gremlin 3 found her thumb in the hospital right after she was born, and she would take the occasional pacifier, but for the most part, she was a thumb baby. Gremlin 1, all about the binkies. And I wish I wouldn't.
Witchkin 2.
I wish I wouldn't have indulged him as much as I did, because breaking the binky habit, oh my God. That doesn't happen until they're like 3, but yeah.
Yeah. But that's where being a big sister came in really handy for me, because I watched my youngest sibling fight my mom on getting weaned off of binkies. And I mean, my mom made strings that would snap to their clothing to hold the binky. They were all over the house, and it was this massive struggle to get them off the binky. So I decided that no, we're not playing that game. I don't fucking want to do it. We're not getting binkies at all. And we didn't. And Apprentice 2 had their thumb and their lovey, and Apprentice 1 had the ability to run everywhere. So we didn't have to deal with the binky thing, but that's a parent decision, really.
It's a parent
there's all kinds of schools with thought on it.
It's a parent decision.
It's not going to hurt their teeth if they have it.
No, it's also a baby decision, because
Mm-hmm.
honestly, your baby might not like a pacifier. It's just the way it is. Ooh.
Co-sleeping. There's a lot of different communities and schools of thought on this, and it's very polarizing. So please talk to your pediatrician, and make sure that you're doing the best thing for your family, for your baby, whatever. It's because I don't know what the guidance is now. I know that it was okay when Apprentice 2 was born, but y'all, that was 16 years ago. So
I have never been up to date on the co-sleeping guidelines, so I have no input,
no clue
on that for you. The last question is, I love this question. It makes me giggle because
it's really cute.
Oh, he's so cute. When should we be looking at buying bikinis, or what type of swimsuit should we look at buying for our baby if it's a girl? And listen, I was all about embracing the chub on Gremlin 3, and I bought her several bikinis, totes, adorbs. But do you there are some parents
Seriously.
who don't feel comfortable putting their young children in bikinis because there are some creeps out there, 110%. And the same thing goes for if you were going to have a boy. Would you immediately want to put them in a Speedo? No, not necessarily. Probably not. I don't know. Are you Michael Phelps? But even Michael Phelps, I don't know. Anyway, but that is the cutest question. Honestly.
It is. So my parents put me in a bikini. I have a picture of me at like 2 years old, chubby as shit, in a bikini, pouring water from a pot into a pool in the yard. And I
was on the beach, and it was blue, and I had a floppy hat.
Mine was yellow, which is weird because I hate yellow to wear. But there's also rash guards. If you're concerned about sun damage on your baby, because putting sunscreen on them is like wrestling a pig in the mud. It's very slippery. But rash guards can help avoid that.
But also, the baby, the spray, sunscreen.
Yeah.
And that was so awesome.
Yeah.
So
and
I still use it.
I can tell by the question that they're not of a conservative religion because they're asking about bikinis. But if you are of a conservative religion, people have started making very modest swimsuits that still allow people to be as covered as they want and enjoy the water. And I'm pretty sure that you can find those for kids too. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's 101 different options.
They're all over the place.
I will just caution you to make sure that before you take your baby out for some aquatic fun, and I'm sure your pediatrician would warn you this as well, to make sure that their umbilical cord is fully healed. If I remember correctly, it took less than a month for the umbilical cords to heal for my kids. But
and please, for the love of fuck, use swim diapers, not regular diapers. Please.
Oh God, yeah, swim diapers. But in any event, this dear listener, I want to commend you for wanting to gather the answers to as many questions as you could possibly have presented to us. I hope we've been able to address all of them. I tried to go one by one over everything. This listener did ask to remain anonymous, so no shout outs to this listener. But I hope, again, that we were able to address some of your burning questions with our normal Moms of Chaos flair. Raven, did you guys have anything to add?
Yeah, don't stop being an involved father and partner. You're going to be tired. That's okay. But just support each other and keep doing the work, because being a parent can be fun and awesome and rewarding and tiring and exhausting. So, help each other. Play with your baby. Don't stop being involved.
Yep. And I was
I am
gonna.
emailing this listener right now to let him know what date this is dropping.
Yep, it will be dropped on October 3rd.
No. October 3rd.
One last little tidbit. We touched on it earlier, and that is building a schedule for your newborn. So
Yes.
the hospital, they will have you, whether you are breastfeeding or you are doing formula fed, they will start your baby off by feeding them every 3 hours and round the clock. And so what I did with Gremlin 3 is I continued that routine. Every 3 hours, round the clock, I would wake her up to feed her in the middle of the night. I would wake her up during the day. She slept a lot. And it wasn't until I think the 2-week checkup that I was expressing my concern to the pediatrician. I was like, she's gained some weight. She's got some rolls now, which is fabulous. But she's not, I'm having a really hard time waking her up. I'm having to take off her onesie to kind of bring her temperature down so she gets a little cold and a little fussy and agitated. I gotta kind of move her legs around to kind of fuss her up. And my pediatrician was like, Harley, she's trying to sleep and you're waking her up in the middle of the night to feed her. I said, yes. The pediatrician said, stop. If she wants to sleep through the night, let her sleep through the night. If you want to maintain the 3 hours during the day, that's fine. That's okay. But tonight, I want you to do one last feeding at about 9 p.m. because that's around the time that I would start having trouble waking up Gremlin 3. And my pediatrician was like, let her sleep through the night. She'll wake up when she's hungry. And that child slept until 6 a.m. the next morning. And the only reason she didn't sleep later is because I woke up and I was like, it's been too long. I need you to poop. I need you to pee. I need to change your diaper. And my boobs hurt. Let's go. All right. That's my tip and trick for developing a schedule for the newborn. That would be my biggest tip to new parents is try to get a schedule going. Raven, you've given your 2 thoughts. Rain, did you have any, or 2 cents? Rain, did you have any additional things to add?
So the schedule is a great thing, and the schedule is always going to be evolving. You have, and it is different stages in the early years. Those stages roll fast. My family has severe ADHD. Schedules and routines are essential for people like me. But maintaining a schedule, okay, this is normally when we're going to start winding down. There's going to be times that stuff happens. That's fine. You roll with the punches. But try to maintain, figure out what works for your family and go from there. Because, again, every family's different. Your kid may be a freaking night owl. Your kid may be, an early bird that wakes up at 4 o'clock in the morning and wakes you up. And that actually is not in reference to Witchkin 2. That's in reference to my dog that does it every fucking day.
Haley does that to Dar.
So, yes, I did just compare my dogs to infants. They are toddlers.
Dude, training dogs and training human toddlers, not much different.
No,
positive reinforcement.
Dogs just never get past toddler.
No, they don't.
True enough. All right.
Fucking toddlers.
They do talk back though.
They do.
Yes, they do. All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us and for listening. And thank you to Rain and Raven for taking the reins and getting us an episode out last week when I was out, down and out.
She was completely out of it.
Oh, I was medicated and sleeping the life away. We are always looking for thank you for your continued support and feedback. And we are always looking for additional feedback. You can reach us at Chaos Connections on your favorite social media apps, or over at our website, mocmediatx.com, to leave comments. This listener actually sent us an email through the support option on our website, I believe. And so that's how they were able to remain anonymous. So if that's what floats your boat, more power to you.
There should be a contact us little widget on every single page of the website. So,
yep. We look forward to hearing from you guys and catch you on the flip side. Bye.
Later, y'all.